Welcome to the Learning Lab Instructor Edition. We're here to talk about American Mahjong and how to run a teaching practice or how to improve your teaching practice. If you have any questions or if you need advice or peer support, let us know in the live stream chat. And also, if you'd like to carry on the conversation after this live broadcast, write it in the comment section below the video. Also, if you would like peer support ongoing and opportunities for ongoing education and access to resources, consider joining the MAHJLIFE Instructor Guild. You can find information at MAHJLIFE.com. Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to talk about tech tools that simplify your life. So I hope that you'll appreciate content. And if you have any areas in your teaching practice that need to be simplified, let me know because I may have a solution for you. I've been running my own business for many years and I've learned a lot of new things and different ways of streamlining, automating, and improving my processes. And I also have a background in administration in the software industry. So I do have some experience in this, real world experience. And if I can help, I will make some recommendations if you're open to them. Thank you again for coming. How's everybody doing today? Say hi in the live stream chat if you'd like. And if anyone has anything they'd like to talk about in regards to technology, tools to make your operations run smoothly, let me know in the live stream chat. And then we'll get into the topic. I could also maybe do a little bit of demonstration. I did a little streamlining on my own website over this last week that has improved my standard operating procedures in lots of ways. And I've been enjoying the freedom that resulted. Okay, I'll go ahead and share my screen because I don't see any questions. Hello, Nancy, welcome all the way from Southwest Florida. Hello, hello. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to share my screen because at the moment I don't have anything to demonstrate, but we can do that a little bit. So let's just get started on this topic, tech tools that simplify your life. And one question that we could start with, just to kind of get our juices flowing, is what part of your business feels most manual or repetitive right now? What feels most manual or repetitive right now? What needs human intervention? One thing that I've been hearing in a lot of workshops lately that I've been attending is if a process does not require your face, it can be outsourced or automated with a tool. That's huge because then you could potentially outsource or maybe streamline to free yourself up for those activities that do require your face. And by your face, that would mean things like client calls, onboarding calls, intake calls. And sometimes those don't even require your face if you use a phone. But if you use Zoom, that would require your face. Although you could do no camera, but your voice is still required. So I guess we should say your face or your voice. Also, you could free yourself up for doing things like this, live streaming. You could live stream on YouTube like I do. You could also do Reels in Instagram and Facebook, which I don't do. Reels are short, and I like long form content. For me, I like long form content. I invest time and energy, effort in what I do and in what I learn as well. So I'm not much for Reels personally. aside from just keeping up with what's going on in the community. I do watch reels to keep up with what instructors are teaching. And yeah, that's really the extent of why I watch reels. I just want to keep my ear to the basically. So does anybody want to share anything about their own business and where they may need to go from manual and repetitive to automated and streamlined? I don't see any comments, so I'm going to go to the next question here in a minute. Okay, so the next question is, what tool could you try that might save you the most time this month? Now, for me, I'm always streamlining. I am a solopreneur, a nanopreneur, which means I am the only worker in my business. Now, I do have a partner, my husband, but he is more of an advisor. He's kind of my CFO, CTO, CO. Well, no, I'm the COO. He's the CFO and the CTO. So he helps me with financial advice and then also technical advice. He's in IT. So that's how he participates in the business. But everything else I do by myself. I do all the admin, the bookkeeping, the marketing, social media, PR, technology. I do all the onboarding for my instructors and customer service, tech support, all of it. I do all of that. So a lot of that I could outsource, and I could probably still do some streamlining. Right now, I'm testing. So the process that I use is I identify something that could be either automated or streamlined, and then I refine it and test it for a while, and then I repeat. So I go through this process of identify, test, refine, or integrate, then refine, and then I repeat that process. Or once that tool or process is ready to simmer for a while, then I look at the next thing that can be improved. And I go through that same process: identify, test, refine, or integrate, and then let it simmer. And that's how I operate and how I do continuous process improvement. And it does make a difference. When I first started this business, MAHJLIFE, 2 years ago, it's improved quite a bit since then. So I'm really happy with the progress, but I could do more. My next big step is probably going to be outsourcing, which is one reason why I make sure that all my operating procedures are documented step by step. And I also use Excel as forms. You could use Word also for forms, but if you document your processes in the shape of a form, then you can just hand that to somebody who can then follow it without any of your guidance required. So I highly recommend that you document your standard operating procedures as part of your processes. Anything that could be manual or repetitive, those can be documented as standard operating procedures. So that's that first question. The second question is, what tool can you use that could maybe save you some time this month? For me, saving time, I've done a lot of streamlining and I'm really happy with where I'm at. So I can't think of anything. I think for me, that next step is hiring an administrator. Okay, so now the next question is, have you ever avoided using a tool because it felt too complex? So maybe fear of change or change averse. Is there any technology that intimidates you and you just haven't implemented anything with that particular technology because it's intimidating? Maybe even creating a website or beginning a newsletter, like with MailChimp, for example, or maybe using Canva for your social media. Is there any software or tool that you're considering but hesitant to start using because of that intimidation factor? What would make it easier to get started? So these are the questions for this session that you want to think about as we talk more about how you can simplify your business with tech tools. Which part of your teaching business feels most manual or repetitive? That's going to help you identify areas for improvement. Second question, what tool could you try that might save you the most time, that allows you to prioritize, maybe even number the items that you document for what is manual, what is repetitive, put a number by them, 1, 2, 3 for priorities. And I would even separate the manual versus repetitive, because some manual you won't be able to automate unless you replace it with a technical tool that you can then automate. So some manual things cannot be automated. Like I have a lesson kit and I go through a production process that cannot be automated because it requires your hands. It's a manual process, but there can be some streamlining that you can do there. So I would have those in 2 separate lists: manual processes and repetitive processes. And that really more speaks to digital. Then by putting the numbers by that, that would handle the second question. So first question is identifying areas for improvement. The second is to prioritize them. And then the third is, what tools have you been considering but maybe are hesitant to begin using? And some of those tools would point to the manual or repetitive tasks. So you could maybe even do this on paper and pencil, or maybe in a PowerPoint, and draw lines to connect the tool to the task so that you can see what that will impact as far as your productivity. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about the lists? Manual, repetitive, prioritizing, and then tools. So really you'll have, I would say, if I were to do this digitally, this is how I would do it. Let me open let me open PowerPoint. This is where I would probably do this kind of a analysis, I guess you could say, or whiteboarding. This would be like whiteboarding. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here because we're going to do this live. Okay, so here's my PowerPoint. Okay, so I just opened a blank PowerPoint, and what I would do is I would have a block for one area that we're going to talk about. So we're going to make this empty with a box around it. I'll duplicate it and then copy it down there. I'll add some text. So this is going to be manual. Oh, let's see. We're going to add text like this: manual tasks, or manual, let's say, processes. Okay, so manual processes here. We'll copy that and put it down here. And this would be repetitive processes. And then we're going to create another one called tools. Maybe we'll, oops. So this is in PowerPoint. I guess we can do it like so. Okay, and then over here is going to be tools. Okay, so now let's just create an example before we move on. So manual processes would be things like if you do flyers, tear sheets for the local library, or maybe tear sheets for the grocery store bulletin board, or maybe a community center. So let's say flyers / tear sheets. That would be a manual process, but there would be some digital in there as well, because you've got to create it. So you need to use some kind of design software for creating it. So, but actually making copies and then distributing them, that's all manual live activity. So there's that. And then I'll add my lesson kit on here. So let's just put in here some kind of a, let's call this I'll just pretend like I am an instructor to be relatable. So I'll just kind of put myself in the Wayback Machine when I was teaching lessons in person in my instructor business. So one thing that I would do, or if I were to do it now even, I would create maybe a welcome kit for my players. Player welcome kit. That would be a manual process. Now that, I'm already getting ahead of my trader mind. So we have here a player welcome kit. Can anybody else add to this? What other kind of manual processes might there be? There could be also, let's say, manual processes in instructor business, probably handout reproduction and collation. Handout, repro, and collation. Is that how you spell collation? Okay, so getting things ready for a lesson. And then other manual tasks for instructors could be, well, I was thinking cleaning tiles. You got to keep your tiles clean. Manual process, keeping your tiles clean. I don't think I ever did that. My tiles didn't get dirty. I guess I had clean people in my lessons. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing, repetitive. So we're just gonna copy, actually, we could probably make this better here. I'm gonna put that there. We're gonna put this here. And then we're gonna delete these. Let's see here. And then we'll turn this into a bullet list. There we go, that's better. Okay, now we will, what we're gonna do also is we're gonna make room, because we need to prioritize these. So we're gonna put these over here. Okay, why did that not work? Okay, there we go. All right, now, so there's somewhat of a list there. We're going to duplicate that and put it down here. And then we're going to edit. Now, repetitive processes. Okay, player intake. Let's just call it client. We already used the word player. Let's use player. Player intake. Call. We're going to say it's a call right now. Okay, just as an example. So player intake, let's do also venue research. Finding places to do lessons. Okay, then let's do social media. Okay, social media. Invoicing. for lessons or to venue staff invoicing. We could do B2B invoicing. We could do B2C invoicing, or B2P, business to player, I guess. Well, that is called B2C. Okay, so we have invoicing, player intake, venue research, B2C, B2B invoicing. Then we have social media. What else? Repetitive processes. Manual process, I think we could do customer service, like email, maybe even, well, let's just do email, and let's just say email, customer service via email. And then let's say that's manual, one email at a time, right? Then let's say customer service via social media. Okay, now this social media is more about marketing. This would be like posting the question of the week, or skill builder of the day, or trivia Tuesday, things like that. Recurring schedule, things like that. Okay, so social media down here is repetitive if you do that. Okay, now let's see what else. Bookkeeping. Okay, now that is, well, for me, it's manual. I'm going to put bookkeeping in here. Bookkeeping. I always thought this was a weird way to spell that, but bookkeeping, that is a manual process for me. Okay, let's see. I have gotten invoicing to be automated, but it's still repetitive because I still have to do things. Excuse me, I still have to do things. Okay, let's see. So I think that we're good here. Manual process, we have 6 bullets. Repetitive processes, we have 5. Okay, so now let's talk about tools. These would be tools that we've thought about using. Actually, you know what I think we should do here? I think we should make this 4 blocks, because I think we should add in here outsourcing, because that is one way to streamline. So we're going to call this one outsourcing. Okay. So now here, outsourcing would be, for me, admin and social media manager. Social media manager and a bookkeeper. I would put that up here probably. Okay, so that would be the outsourcing: administrator, bookkeeper, social media manager. Okay, now the tools. Okay, the tools would be, what tools could we put in here? Now, I am a software user. I am an administrator by trade. Most of my life, I was an administrator giving small business support, executive support. So I've learned how to use a lot of different software. So I personally don't feel intimidated by software, but I'm going to channel a different person for this. So tools. If I'm looking at my manual processes and the repetitive tasks, let's say that we're going to talk about spreadsheets. Let's talk about graphic design software. Okay. Okay, let's also list in here. See, spreadsheets can take care of a lot of things. Graphic design, you need those drag and drop features, so I think that's a really good one in there. Let's put a website in here, because you could even create a small website. You don't have to have a big website. You could even have a landing page, just one page, if you don't have one already. But also, you could use a social media platform instead of a website. Social media platform. Okay, let's see. What else could be a newsletter program, or an email system. Let's do that. Email system. What else do we have here? Bookkeeping. We need some kind of bookkeeping. So we got bookkeeping in 3 places, really. Okay, there's bookkeeping, a bookkeeping system program. Okay, and let's see here. Now we do have, you know what? Manual, repetitive, manual processes. I was just thinking about task management. To-do lists. To-do lists / task management. Scheduling. Okay, so then the tools that maybe would be used there would be online scheduler. And then this may be a project management system. These are all tools that you could use to take care of all these things. Let's see. So we have flyers, tear sheets, player welcome kit, handout, repro and collation, customer service, bookkeeping, task management, scheduling. So in the tools area, spreadsheets, graphic design software, website, social media platform, email system, bookkeeping, scheduler, project management system, all those tools would address all these things, including things like the manual intake call, or the player intake, repetitive tasks there, venue research. That's going to be a hybrid probably, because you still got to do the work. You know what you could use in here? Search engine / chat GPT. Okay, so now invoicing is on here, and then we have social media, recurring posts and things like that. Okay, now the outsourcing area, an administrator could handle a lot of the manual processes if you have somebody local. If it's a virtual administrator, all you would need to do would be to prepare all the digital content and then assign the tasks for them to put everything together. And then if this administrator is local, you could always do a pickup arrangement and get what you need. So that probably will work for manual processes. If you have a virtual assistant who is not nearby, then of course you would probably have to set up shipping. So maybe we need to put in here shipping as well. Like if you do have an administrator, virtual administrator. We have a bookkeeper in here for outsourcing, and then social media manager. Those can both be virtual. The administrator, that would be nice to have local. So let's just put in here local, and then bookkeeper could be virtual. That might help a little bit with this process. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good list. This is a pretty good example of the process for identifying the areas that are the bottlenecks. Manual processes, repetitive processes, and then the second question on that list was prioritizing. And then the third question was tools, and then I added outsourcing. So that's done. Now let's go through and put on here prioritizing. So I'm going to add another text here. Put that up there, I guess. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so now I'm just going to do like a number 1 here. So this is 16. Okay, so now, oh, you know what we could do? Let's change this from a bullet to a number. Get rid of that. Pull that over here. Do the same here. And then we'll just reorder the list. See, we streamlined already. Okay, so now let's this. Okay, now let's talk about tear sheets. Are they really efficient? I tried tear sheets once and I did not see a very good result. I would just probably either remove that completely or put it at the bottom. I think there are better ways to advertise than tear sheets. Now this welcome packet, I think that's high. So is the handout reproduction. I might as well spell that out. And collation, you know, getting the handouts together. Customer service, let's see. These are manual processes. They're kind of one-off and manual processes. Okay, so those are pretty important, I think. Well, bookkeeping, yes. I'd say that probably should be number 1. Bookkeeping, you got to keep up with that. Scheduling, probably higher up there. I would say your to-do list, you got to stay on top of your activities. I'd put that way up there too. So this is, I think, how I would prioritize it. Bookkeeping, scheduling, maybe scheduling number 1, to-do list number 2, bookkeeping number 3, because that's something that you could kind of do at the end of the day. It's not something you need to do now and often. The to-do probably should be number 1. That's something ongoing every day, all day. Scheduling, kind of when it comes up, you schedule something. So then we have bookkeeping, then we have the player welcome kit. That is quite a manual process, even if it's digital. You could create it once and then do kind of a copy paste, and we'll talk about that. That would be more of a process, but it could still be manual, but you could create a process for that. Handout reproduction collation, you could do a little bit of automation here or a little bit of outsourcing even. For example, print shop. Instead of you doing it yourself, print shop. Okay, then we have customer service. With email, you got to attend to that yourself, really. Customer service, social media. Then shipping, you got to go ship things, flyers, tear sheets. Yeah, those are kind of like a create and drop off type of thing. Okay, so I think that list looks good. Let's talk about the repetitive tasks, repetitive processes. Player intake call. So that, we're just going to take it at face value here. We're going to talk about improvements in a minute. So we're not going to make any changes with that at the moment. But my brain is already working ahead here. So player intake call, I would say that would just happen as it comes in. Venue research, that's something that you want to do often. Always be looking. It's kind of like when you're in the job market, you're always looking for the next best job. Same thing with a venue research. You always want to be looking for a better collaborative opportunity with venues. So I would put that right now at the top. The intake calls, they kind of happen as they go. The recurring schedule for social media, I would say let's put that at 2 for now, because the intake call and the invoicing, those kind of happen just kind of like the mail. It's an occurrence. It happened. You can't really plan for it, but it is something that you do again and again and again. Okay, so that's how I would prioritize here. Venue, search, social media, maybe even social media number 1, because that's basically your outreach. That's how you nurture the community. I'd put that at the top. Social media at the top, then venue research, then player intake, then invoicing. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good. Now, let's talk about the tools. Spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are awesome. You can customize them if you know how to use the tool, if you know how to use Excel. If you don't, you might need to get training. So think about where you're at with your software knowledge. There are a lot of videos that you can watch to help you learn how to use these tools. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube, for example. So we have spreadsheets, graphic design software. Let's put these in order of learning curve. No. Let's put it in order of maybe how many activities could be handled by a given tool. Let's call it useful, priority by usefulness. Priority by use. Okay, priority by use. This is priority by maybe volume of work volume by volume. Okay, so we'll do that. And then this one is more about priority by visibility. I mean, social media, that's highly visual. Venue research, that's really more, this is more about not visibility. This is more about social media, venue, ROI, return on investment. Social media, high ROI. Venue search, high ROI. Player intake and invoicing, clearly, that's all about your bottom line, so that's important. Okay, so now let's look at priority by use. So spreadsheets, by looking at all these tasks here, I think spreadsheets could handle almost, I would say most of these. Graphic design, social media right at the top of the list, so I'd put that near the top. Let's put this in number form as well. Okay, website. A website can do a lot of automation, but you either need to outsource it or know how to do it yourself. You got to do it yourself or outsource it. So you might need to have down here, web designer, local. You might need to have in here CMS capable. CMS stands for content management system. So you'd want to look for example, an administrator who feels comfortable in the back end of a website, because you might need to outsource this if you're not comfortable doing this yourself. So we'll put in here outsource, DIY, or outsource. Okay, so you know what, let's do, this is not really, let's do it like this. Okay. Now the graphic design, you should learn yourself. So that's going to require a tutorial maybe. So these are kind of reasons why you might be putting it off perhaps. Tutorial, spreadsheets, you might need to get training. Okay, now social media platforms. Now this one could be low-hanging fruit. I think we should maybe put that at the top. Low-hanging fruit. If you're not doing social media, I highly recommend you put that at your top of your list. You should be nurturing your community, creating one and then nurturing your community. They end up becoming your friends eventually, which is lovely. Okay, then we have that email system could be a good automation tool. I would probably, now that has a pretty short learning curve. You do need to know a little bit of content management though, but it's pretty, I think it's intuitive. However, I have that background, so not everybody would feel that way. So let's put tutorial on here. Okay, so let's put that up there. So this one, the DIY or outsource, this is going to require money. This one is going to be free. DIY, you get it for free. Outsource, money. Okay, now bookkeeping program. Now the thing about bookkeeping is you could use a spreadsheet. If you have, I wonder, let me do a quick Google on this, because as a nanopreneur, I have a low volume of transactions. Typically, from what I understand, bookkeeping is charged by transaction volume. So if you have a low volume of transactions, you could probably do it yourself in a spreadsheet. But if you have a lot of transactions, you might want to get a bookkeeping system. So if you have even a complex business model where you have lots and lots of revenue streams. So let me bring this over because this comes into play here. So let's say, when should I hire a bookkeeper? Should I consider number of, let me make this bigger, transactions? And then should I consider number of revenue streams? Okay, let's see what Google tells us. This would be good in ChatGPT as well. Let me just copy that and we'll do both. Okay, so here we go. Let's see what, well, it's going to give us AI anyway. Okay, you should hire a bookkeeper when the task is taking too much of your time, your finances become too complex, or you need professional expertise for compliance and strategic decisions. The number of transactions and the number of revenue streams are key indicators of this increasing complexity and are excellent metrics to consider when making the decision. Okay, so that's excellent. I'm going to copy that. And we're going to put it in here. And we're going to give this a footnote. And we're going to add a, oopsies, I'm going to add a slide. And we're going to make footnotes. Okay, so this would be one. All right, whatever, that'll be fine. Okay, so one. Okay, so we're going to keep that as a note. Now let's go back to here. Okay, so indicators. Time consumption, financial complexity, inaccuracy or errors, tax season stress, lack of financial clarity, growth and investment. Okay, here we go. This is what I really wanted right here. Number of transactions. Well, there is no magic number. A high volume of transactions is a strong indicator that manual DIY bookkeeping is no longer efficient. I wish they gave us a number. Handling hundreds of purchases and sales a month can be time consuming and can be prone to error. Number of revenue streams. I think I have 8 or 9 revenue streams. The more income streams you have, the more complex your accounting becomes. A bookkeeper can provide the expertise needed to track and categorize. Okay, so we'll copy that as well. Let's see if this gave us a source. Signs it's time for a bookkeeper. I think we'll do this dude. Let's see, the DIY route. 5 signs. Let's go ahead and do this one. 5 signs. Conclusion, hiring a bookkeeper, struggling, inability, cash flow issues, errors. Not impressed. Okay, so let's see this one. Should I hire DIY if your business is small, when it's time? Okay, this is a good one. Making the decision. Okay. I think this is a good one. So what I would do here is I would copy the URL and then we'll put it in here. So we'll add, okay, so that is not really good. Hire, this probably can go away. Let's just double check it. Yep. That's all we needed there. Okay, I don't know why it's not turning. We really don't. No, we do need this. I'm going to do it like that. Okay, so bookkeeping system. Okay, now, so we do have that there. Okay, now a scheduler. This I think is low-hanging fruit, but you got to have a website. So there's a dependency there. Website. So you got to have a website. If you're going to get a scheduler, you got to have the scheduler in something. So you got to have a website in place for that. So website would come first, then a scheduler, then the bookkeeping. That it depends. You may not need to get a system. You might be able to do it in a spreadsheet. I do it in a spreadsheet myself right now. But I have a little training with bookkeeping, so I knew how to set it up, at least with my experience. Now, if a bookkeeper came in and looked at my spreadsheet, they may have quite a task at hand because I'm not a bookkeeper. So they may have to do some cleanup. It may take effort to migrate my bookkeeping system to an actual bookkeeping program like Intuit or Quicken or what have you. Okay, now project management system. The thing about a project management system, they are out there to help you track programs like Gantt sheets and things like that. Gantt charts, I should say. But you can do a lot of your scheduling in Outlook, in your email client. So I'd say no. I'd say use Outlook, for example, with a task manager within Outlook. So I'd say the project management system, low on the priority until you get big. Okay, so then tools that you can use, search engine, ChatGPT, I would put that way up here. That's low-hanging fruit. I think I would put it here because the email system should be up high because that is more of a nurture tool and an outreach tool. It's also good for communications with your current clients. So I think that should be high as well. So this is the priority that I would put on the tools. Then down here with your outsourcing, let's see, we're gonna put this on a list too. This one is going to be priority by ROI, return on investment. Okay, so now this is that thing where if it doesn't require your face, you can outsource it. Bookkeeping can totally be outsourced. A lot of administration, all your administration can be outsourced. All of your social media, except broadcasting, because you can broadcast on Facebook. So for social media, everything but broadcasting could be outsourced. Print shop, basically, that is for handouts. You could upload documents to Staples. They can do all the printing. You go pick it up, or you send your admin to do it. Go pick it up for you. Print shop, that's kind of low-hanging fruit, but that's a one-off. That's kind of a one-off task there. Okay, now web designer, that is going to cost money. I would even put freaking $3 signs on that. Let's see here. So the content management systems in website hosts. Website hosts have services that have content management systems nowadays that are intuitive, relatively intuitive, because you've got to be comfortable using a computer. You got to be unafraid. You got to be fearless. You're not going to break anything. You could, ruin things, but everything would be fixable, but you're not going to break anything. So try not to have fear when it comes to website management. You can do it. A lot of content management systems are very easy to use, especially if you have a small website. The bigger it is, the more complex it's going to get. The more bells and whistles you have, the more complex it's going to get. And that's where you might want to have a team, like a web designer, to go in and do the more complex stuff. So I think that's a pretty good priority list. Administrator, bookkeeper, social media manager. If you can find an administrator who can do social media, that's even better. So let's put, just for clarity, website CMS capable. And now I'm not talking HTML like programming. I'm talking just, can they get in there and update a web page? It's basically like complex word processing. It's not hard, I don't think. Okay, and the other one would be social media, would be a plus. If you can find an administrator who can do social media, that would be a big plus. Okay, so we're gonna just put this down a notch so it's nice and tight. Okay, so there's our list right here. So now let's go to the next step. So we've got all our priorities on here. We got a nice list in here. Okay. So now let's go back to here. Oh, this is where we'll leave that up there. Okay, now we're going to go to the next thing. Actually, let me go here and go full screen. Okay. All right, so next, let's talk about tools. Tools that can make your life easier, okay? I have a article in the Learning Lab Instructor Edition. You can follow along. I'll put the link now in the chat here for you if you want to follow along. There it is. Okay, it's at MAHJLIFE. So if you copy and paste that link, I don't know if it'll be clickable for you, but we're looking at talking points. I guess I could go ahead and share my screen just in case you don't have access. We'll just do it that way. Okay, here it is. Okay, here are the talking points. Core categories of tools. Top of the list is a CRM. That stands for Client Relationship Management, Customer Relationship Management. But it's a CRM. That's what that's called. Now, you could have a CRM in a spreadsheet. If you want to do a DIY low-cost solution, you could do it in a spreadsheet. I actually have a template in the digital library for guild members, instructor guild members. If you look in the digital library for CRM, you'll find it. And it's got CRM best practices in it. If you are not part of the guild, send me an email and we can talk, and I'll send you the CRM. If you're interested in seeing some of kind of a sneak peek in the tools that you have access to by joining the guild. I've used for years, that is affordable, it's intuitive, it's customizable, and they do have really great customer service, although it is out of India. So they have very thick accents. But if you can handle that, I highly recommend V-Tiger. V as in Victor, tiger, like the animal. V-Tiger. This is a content management system that is affordable, customizable, and easy to use. You can track students, lessons. You can even track payments, depending on the type of system you get. I got the least expensive one, and I customized it so I didn't have to pay for the invoicing system. I made it work for me the way it is at a lower level. So if you're unafraid of customizing and just trying to learn it yourself, you can watch video tutorials on how to do it, and you can save yourself some money. I've been able to do all these things with V-Tiger in a low-level subscription. Track students, lessons, payments, and engagement over time. They have reports that you can customize as well, and you can follow growth and trends and things like that. So client relationship management, you can use a spreadsheet to help you with that, or you can do a subscription like V-Tiger. Another good one that I've seen is called Soho. And then I think, let me see, I know there's another one. Let me just do a quick Google on this. Top easy to use CRMs. See what comes up. 5 best small business. Let's see what comes up here. Pipedrive, Monday CRM. I've seen a lot of ads on YouTube for Monday, so I don't know anything about it. Salesforce, stay away. It's very expensive. It's awesome, but it's very expensive. I don't know anything about ClickUp. Here's what I'm looking at if you want to know. Pipedrive and CRM, they have 14-day trials, but this is what came up for me. Now, I don't know if this is sponsored or not, top 5 CRMs. If I were to make a recommendation on here, I still would recommend V-Tiger. I wonder what their subscriptions are. Let's just look at these two real quick. Let's see, pricing. Okay, Lite, $14 a month. That is really affordable. Lead, calendar, pipeline management, AI, real-time feed. Okay, the next one, email sync with tracking, automations, nurturing sequences. That would be opportunity management. That's nice. But $39 a month, that's a big jump. That is a big jump. I would not recommend that. I think V-Tiger is cheaper. We're going to look at V-Tiger in a minute. Okay, so now here we want to look at where's their pricing. If they don't have their pricing front and center, don't trust it. I don't see where their pricing is. Request a demo. You have to request a demo. That's a sign. I wouldn't do it. That means it's expensive. Yeah, no, we're not doing that one. Okay, V-Tiger. Let's look at V-Tiger, since that's the one I'm recommending. Oh, this would be, we don't want to log in, although it is super easy. V-Tiger pricing. Okay. Here we go. V-Tiger pricing, $20 a month. And it's affordable. $30 a month, that's professional. This One Growth, this is the lower level. $12 a month. this is the way to go right here. 12 bucks a month, free trial, VTiger. I think I use one professional. I pay 30 bucks a month for that. And down here is where you can see I use the single app. One enterprise. Maybe this is what I do. I don't remember, but I've been able to make it work at a lower level. But I do recommend VTiger. I'll put this in here. And by the way, this is not, I'm not an affiliate. I just, it to be very helpful. So that's what I would recommend there. Okay, now let's go back to here about tools. Oops, that was AI there. Let's go back to, where did my, okay, where's, okay. I lost the learning lab. Okay, so here we go. Okay, now, here we go. Learning lab, and here's our article right here. Tech tools that simplify your life. Okay, so then we're going to go down here. Okay, so we were talking about CRM. All right, now let's talk about marketing, communications and marketing. MailChimp. I use MailChimp. It's affordable and it grows with you. So your subscription increases, or your subscription costs increase as you have more and more contacts. So they have thresholds. And when you get to a certain threshold, they'll increase your rate. But it's still a good ROI. So I highly recommend MailChimp. And when you first get started, it's free. I believe, let's see, MailChimp subscriptions. Cost. MailChimp pricing. Oh, I don't know what that .digital is. Okay. I rather go to the actual site rather than going through some. Okay. So for 500 contacts, it's 20 a month. If it's free, let's see, create email. You get one user, one audience. I don't see how many contacts are in there. So if you have less than 500 contacts, I guess it's free. So once you get to 500 contacts, you'll pay 20 a month. And then depending on what features you want, that's where you would pay another layer subscription, like 13 a month. You could have some marketing automation in there. You could have 10 times the contact. Oh, here we go. Max of 1,000 emails or 500 emails per day. So it would be about sends, not about number of contacts at the free level. And then you get customer service there, branded templates. You get pop-up forms, so you could have a newsletter sign-up pop-up. So yeah, I think this is a good deal, MailChimp. And it's pretty easy to use. Short learning curve. Okay, so then we have storage and sharing. So for that, like let's say that you want to upload your handouts instead of printing. One thing you could do instead of printing, you could save on printing costs. You can save on admin work. You could save on collation and save a tree even by going digital. So instead of printing handouts, send them to your students digitally. Or you could send them as a PDF, or you could just upload them to OneDrive, for example, or Google Drive, and then send them an email with a link to your folder and let them print it out. That would be a way to save. So storage and sharing, that would automate and save. You wouldn't have to do any printing anymore. Okay, now design and branding, Canva. I highly recommend Canva. Canva has a free subscription, but they also have a pro version where you can have access to more features and more drag and drop elements that you could use in your designs. But their free version I used for a couple years. So let's talk about the pricing there, because you want to always think about your bottom line. How much is it going to cost you? And want to be smart. You want to start small, free if possible, whether it be a trial or the free version, and use it for all it's worth. And then when you're through your learning curve, then get the subscription. But don't get a subscription until you get through the learning curve, because in the meantime, you may find a better tool. So definitely do your research, watch tutorials, learn about the tool, then subscribe. Okay, so here's their free version. Drag and drop 1,000+ designs. You get 1.6 million templates. Oh yeah, this is the way to go, Canva. And it's really easy to use. Now, if you want to go pro, which is what I do, it's $7.50 a month. That is nominal. And then for a little bit more, you could have collaboration. If you have a team of people, I don't even have a team. If I were to hire an admin, I would need to upgrade to business. But right now it's just me, so I'm at pro. But that's what I would recommend for your design software. Okay, scheduling, Calendly. Calendly is another way that you can do some automation and have the scheduling done for you. It allows you to put your schedule in there, the times that you're available on a recurring basis. And you could even create different activities that are dedicated to certain days and times. So that kind of, it's like block scheduling, which is a really great productivity management system. So I would recommend Calendly. So if you're interested in Calendly, and again, I'm not an affiliate for any of these. These are the tools that I use in my business now. So let's look at the pricing here so you can see what that would entail. Oh, Zendesk. Zendesk is another CRM, by the way, that you could look into. I have heard good things about Zendesk. Okay, so now they have a free version, one event type. You can connect one calendar, which is reasonable. So if you do, let's say, you do one-on-one coaching, or let's say you want to do a discovery call, that would be your one event. And then you would have your one calendar. You could get away with using Calendly for free. And then if you use standard, which is what I use, $10 a month, that is nominal. But again, if you add lots of nominal costs, it's going to stack. So you want to think it through, do the research, add up all the costs that you're going to incur, and then add them as you prioritize them. And when you're ready, if you can get away with using a tool for free, do it. But then when you start seeing your productivity hindered, then consider upgrading to a paid version. So I do MailChimp paid, I do the Calendly paid, the second one, and then I also do Canva paid. So I just look at that as the cost of doing business, and they're all tax deductible as well. Okay, so that is Calendly. And you could even, if you were to have a website, you could even drop in code into and embed it into a web page, and it would be part of your website. It would be seamless and look very professional, and it would automate. So you don't have to get involved in the scheduling at all. So that could just come off your list completely. Okay, so now the next one, event registration and payments. Now here, this is if you do all your event planning yourself and you want to do any kind of automation and even marketing. Ticket is what I've used in the past. I've also used Eventbrite, and I've used Meetup. I also use Facebook. But with Ticket Tailor, with Eventbrite, and with Meetup, you can automate the ticket sales. So you could actually have people RSVP and you can charge for it and have that all be automated, and you won't have to get involved at all. So using something like Ticket Tailor or Eventbrite or even Meetup, you could do some automation with those platforms. Ticket Tailor, the way they work is they have a couple of different subscriptions. The one that I used or I have experience with is where they take a percentage of each sale, like 3% or something like that. Don't quote me, but they take a small percent. And you could also choose to do, let me see here, I'm trying to remember what they called it, like batch. I don't know if that was it, but, or bundle. Let me see, Ticket Tailor pricing. Ticket Tailor pricing credits, that's what they called it. So you could get, you can do free events here, but this is where you pay up front. So basically you buy a number of credits, like 500 credits for 30 cents per, that's probably per credit. And then as you sell those 500, let's say, then your credit balance goes down, and you need to buy more credits. So that's one way to do it. So you buy credits in advance and then you deplete the credits and buy more, or you pay as you go. And this would be 85 cents per sale, per ticket sale. So if you have let's say $10.85 ticket, they would get the 85 cents and you would get 10 bucks. So you could do that pay as you sell. And I worked with somebody in the past and we did both. And then we ended up going with credits in the end. So either way, it's great. So Ticket Tailor, I highly recommend. And they do have a platform where you can customize the look and feel and actually promote your event. And then you could even maybe put a link to it from Facebook or a link to it from your website. You might even be able to embed it in your website if you have the skills. So that is Ticket Tailor, and I highly recommend it if you do a lot of events. If you don't do a lot of events, like bigger events, let's say 40 plus, 50 plus people, you could probably use Ticket Tailor. If you do smaller events, like say less than 40, or even, no, let's say 20 or less, you could just do it yourself, DIY. You don't need a ticket system. You could just do that yourself. But once you start doing bigger events, I would definitely recommend using something like Ticket Tailor. Okay, any questions about these tools? These are the core categories of tools that I recommend with, and I'll add links to these, to each of those pricing pages so that you can do that research for yourself. I suppose you could look that up too, but I'll make it easy and I'll add links to this. So the idea here too is integration. The goal isn't using more software, it's connecting the right tools based on your needs. So you would look at your priorities and then choose the tools that are the best, that can meet your needs the most. So social media, if you're not using it, I highly recommend Facebook, because that is a community nurturer that builds community. Instagram is great if you're all about aesthetics and superficial look and feel, but it does not build community. Facebook builds community. That's what I recommend. If you don't use Facebook, that's where I would start. Then I would look into the spreadsheets, then Canva, MailChimp, VTiger. I use for website, I use GoDaddy for my host, and I use WordPress for my content management system. Scheduler is Calendly. Bookkeeping system, I would use QuickBooks when I'm ready to get a system. And then project management system, I would just use Outlook. So there's that. Okay, now I think spreadsheets can take care of a lot of this. Canva, Calendly, but if you don't, you got to have a website to use Calendly, really. All right, so now let's go back here. So for example, as far as integrating with Calendly, you can go from Calendly to your CRM, to your MailChimp. You can go from your website to MailChimp. So you can integrate your tools a lot of times. All right, now let's talk about when you're ready to start adding tools to your teaching practice. Add one system at a time. Start with the one that addresses your biggest bottlenecks. That's why the prioritization is so important. Add the one with the greatest ROI and start there. Test, streamline, and refine, and then go to the next one and repeat until you have all the systems in place. Always be testing, streamlining, and refining. Replace if something better comes up. But that is what you would want to do. You would want to adopt it gradually. Don't get everything at once. That's going to be really overwhelming. Just add one tool at a time. If you don't know how to use spreadsheets, start there. Just learn how to use a spreadsheet, because a spreadsheet can take care of a lot of things in and of itself. Okay, now select one task from your standard operating procedures. Basically, the things that you do all the time. That would be here, all this, one-off manual processes, repetitive processes. Pick one thing out of there, and then identify a tool or automation to improve it. Draft out a plan to implement it. Maybe even test it with a small group. Maybe have, if you're going to test, for example, an intake or something like that, you would want to have somebody to help you test it, and then refine it, streamline it, improve it, correct bugs that might happen there, and then launch it. Technology should support, not complicate, your business. All right, well, that covers everything that I wanted to talk about today, and we have 10 minutes before the end of the session, but I do want to include the reflection here. What is one small digital improvement that could free up more energy for teaching, space for creativity, or time for self-care? So think about that. One small digital improvement that could free up more energy for teaching, space for creativity, or time for self-care. One small digital improvement. For me, it's about outsourcing. That's my clear sign. It's time for me to outsource. I need to get an admin. An admin who can do bookkeeping and social media would be awesome. So that's it. If anybody has any questions, let me know in the live stream chat. I'll give you a minute to ask any questions. And then if you're watching the repost, definitely put your questions in the comment section below, or send me an email, and I'd be happy to help you that way. And then between now and the next session, which is Thursdays, we meet on Thursdays for an hour and a half, 90 minutes, and we go over topics like this that can help you with your teaching practice. And I will add those links in here to simplify your research. And I can't think of anything. Oh, and I'll also add a link to watch the episode, so you can rewatch this if you like. And I'll upload that template here. I'll leave what we worked on together as an example, so you can use that to help you. And if you don't know how to use PowerPoint, you'll get used to it. Just get started. For let me share my screen here again. In order to reprioritize, all you need to do here is just highlight it and then click it when you get that arrow and just drag it up. And that's how you reprioritize, okay? Okay, so here, since we have like 7 minutes and I don't see any questions, I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to modify this with ways that you could improve this just as is. Okay, let's go here. Make it a little bigger. Okay, to-do list. Use Outlook. Okay, scheduling. Calendly. Oh, you know what? Hold the phone. Hold on just 1 second because we were going to do lines. So like here, oh, no, let's do social media, Facebook. Okay, spreadsheets, Excel. I don't know what the Mac one is. Canva. Email system is MailChimp. Search engine, ChatGPT. You got to know how to use it though. Please do not use ChatGPT and then copy paste. You got to refine it. You got to do research. You got to confirm the research and then make it your own. Don't just copy and paste from ChatGPT. Okay, now website. I use GoDaddy with WordPress. Okay, and then scheduler, Calendly. I know I misspelled that, so let me fix that. Okay, bookkeeping, I recommend QuickBooks. Okay, and then project management. We're just going to take that sucker off. No. We're going to put Outlook. You can use Outlook as your project management system. They have a task system. So, and I use it all the time. You should see it. It's huge. It's too big. But I use that every day in, day out. Use Outlook tasks. Put that in there. Okay, because you can schedule, you can remind, you can do recurring tasks. It's just like, it's similar to a calendar. So that's what I would recommend there. Okay, now, the next thing we were going to do, I was going to say, remove, just delete this. I would say, remove, go digital, go green. Go green. Just take that off completely. We'll make it red. Just take that off. Okay, now, shipping, that's kind of I use UPS. I would say tear sheets. No, I would not do this anymore. That is just way too work. It's too heavy. It's too much work for little ROI. I would go digital. Go digital. Use social media. Okay, so we're going to remove that. Okay, welcome kit. Here, this could even be digital. Go digital. So we would use tools. I forgot one in here. Low-hanging fruit. We'll put in, what is it? OneDrive. Or Google Drive. Digital storage. Okay, so digital storage. This is the example. Okay. Something like, okay, now Let's see. So digital, go green. Let's see here. Okay. With intake, let me see here. Hold on. This would be use Outlook. This would be use Calendly. This would be use Excel spreadsheet. Welcome kit. Go digital. Use OneDrive, and then send an email with a link. Customer service, that's pretty much one off. You got to do that. Okay, social media. Now this right here, there's a process. You need, I highly recommend using an editorial calendar. If you're in the guild, there's an editorial calendar Excel workbook in the digital library that I use that I found extremely helpful. I made it myself. There are some best practices in there. So look in the digital library for the editorial calendar. Let's see, for the intake call, what I would recommend here is I would recommend putting a form on your website. Website form. And that way that you're not doing a call anymore. So I would change it from a call to a form, and then the form would kick off an email to you. So I would take the player intake to a form on the website, or a pop-up form of some kind. You can even do a pop-up form through MailChimp, and they could be automatically added to your MailChimp. So there are a couple of ways you can do it. Now for invoicing, that's one-off. This is where you would do a spreadsheet probably. So let's use this. Now we're going to add a line. So with Facebook, clearly we're going to go there. Okay. Okay. Okay, now OneDrive, we're gonna, oh, that didn't really work. Okay, right here. There are not that many, I don't want to do specific colors. We're just going to use green. Okay, now Excel. We're gonna put Excel. You could even use Excel as your CRM. So with Excel, you can do your bookkeeping right here. Bookkeeping. Okay, bookkeeping there. Let's see. So now Canva. Oops, we want this. Canva. Okay, so there's Canva. Going to social media. And then we could do Canva. You could even use Canva to help you do some nice stuff in your welcome kit. Make it look nice, on brand there. And let's see. Okay, now MailChimp. MailChimp would be we need to add one. You know, stay in touch with your customers. A newsletter or just communications. Okay, so MailChimp. Okay, MailChimp. Now ChatGPT. Boy, ChatGPT can be very useful for social media. Can be useful for research. Okay. GoDaddy, obviously, we're going to do a website. This is looking a bit messy, but, well, website, outsource, customer service, email, welcome kit scheduling. Let's point the, oh no, that would be Calendly. Calendly to scheduling. Okay, and then we would do QuickBooks for invoicing. We'll just copy, paste. And we could, I think I'll change the colors here to each one. Okay, and then Outlook tasks for task management. Okay. Wow, look at that mess. Okay, so everything though, the welcome kit, we're going to go digital. Let's see, we're removing 2 things, customer service email. Okay, so the email Outlook would be for here. And we would have multiple there. So there's that. Okay. All right. Everything is accounted for here. Communications would be MailChimp. Oh, you know what? That's the wrong thing. MailChimp. MailChimp, what's that doing there? Communications. There we go. Okay. So now everything's handled. So everything in the tools is connected to our different tasks. Then we would have, I suppose, I know we're going long now. Okay, so now we would do the administrator. Let's say they would do things like, they would handle maybe the communications. We're gonna, we'll just let that be that one. Okay, and then the bookkeeper clearly is going to handle invoicing. Bookkeeper handling invoicing. The print shop is going to handle, you know what? We took that off. We don't need a print shop anymore. Okay. Oops. Okay, now web designer, or no, social media manager. They're going to handle eventually all that. Oh, yeah, that is, I would put a $sign on that. That's going to be kind of expensive. This, I would put a $1 sign. Bookkeeper, $2 signs, maybe 3. Web designer, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how I would categorize that. Okay. Web designer. Okay. Okay, let's see. Bookkeeping. Oh, so bookkeeping, invoicing is part of bookkeeping. So really that should all go up there, or this one-off manual. I would say that goes away and that really goes up here. Yeah, so we can get rid of that, kind of simplify that a little bit. And then this would go up, oop. This would go here. And then this would go there. Okay, so there we go. All right. So everything is connected now. Boy, oh boy, that's a lot to do. But It's solution oriented. Okay, now this QuickBooks, we already got that taken care of. Okay, there we go, all done. All right, so I'll upload this as an example, and if you have any questions, let me know. If you found this episode helpful, let me know that as well. And I hope that you have many happy returns with your streamlining and using tech tools to help improve your life. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos or go live, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or just improve your game overall. And now, oh, I messed that up completely. Let me try it again, okay? So cut, that would be on the blooper reel. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I upload a new video or go live, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table between now and the next episode. May all your picks be keepers.